Good morning. Gonna do a sound check here before we get started too much. All right. No, I can't hear myself on the radio. I can only hear the music. Hopefully it's not too loud. It's weird. Since I'm driving, I can't hear myself here. So I keep up with the gun news, post videos about it because it's something that's important to me. And apparently, the Supreme Court finds that gun companies can't be liable for what people do with the guns illegally. Okay. That's like, in my opinion, suing the farm that grew the cow, and you took butchered the cow, went to a restaurant and ate the meat, or at the grocery store, and you get sick and you sue the farm, not yourself for leaving the meat out and it gets spoiled beyond recognition. Beef is a bad example. Pork is a better example. Something that goes bad faster. That makes sense, folks? You can leave beef out for a while and it holds better. But, I had a bad coughing spell this morning. You ever have that? Whew. There's a beautiful house. It's a single-story house, and it's right in front of the school. I'd say there's acres between the school and this house. It's a farmer's house. I drive by it every day. Only thing is, obviously, you can't. That property behind the house, between the school, you can't turn that into your own private gun range. You risk hitting kids. That'd be stupid. But I drive by it every day for years now, and I look at it and I go, wow, that's beautiful. And if I ever become rich and famous off of YouTube, the first thing I'm going to do, probably make a video about it, and then I'm gonna go buy some land out in the country where I can make more videos about it. At my discretion. Don't you hate it when you go to the gun range and they tell you can't rapid fire? And rapid fire, it's like that Chuck Mangione song. It feels so good. But what I'm drinking, it's diet ginger beer from the land down under. It's not alcohol, okay? Oh, it's especially good this morning. So tomorrow I'm going to do my live stream at 7 p.m. And I gather inspiration. So I always do a medical portion of it because I am a medical provider. I call myself Suburban Prepper because I live in the suburbs, and this is how I have to think. And it's the niche that I'm under. but I'm also a medical professional. That's never going to go away. So one of my patients has migraines, and he never gets any relief from anything. And I thought to myself, that's a good inspiration right there to do a holistic approach to migraine headaches. And I've got the book and the references right in front of me. But what I'm not going to do this time is really go over conventional therapy. I'm just going to stick with alternative therapy for migraines. And it seems to have lost every viewer. As a prepper and a survivalist, you have to know what the alternative therapies are to shit it's a van, because that's all you're going to have. Now, today's Friday. My body knows it. I don't want to go into work today, but there's no physical reason why I can't. Sometimes at work it seems like I've slowed down, but I haven't slowed down. Nurses are not cognizant of the patients and the fact that I have face-to-face patients, okay, that I got to see, and I also have telephone patients that I have to see. And there's all. I understand, you give a little window. Like I had an appointment myself, a video computer appointment a couple days ago. The medical provider never picked up, so I was a little pissed. I understand when patients get pissed when you call at the wrong time. Forbearance. If something happens, I try like hell to have my clerk call the patient and tell them we're going to be delayed ahead of time. That's the way it goes. Anyway, I'm gonna make sure last weekend I sat on another table to do a video portion, and I forgot to move the camera. And the thing is, I set up everything. I knew how to set it up just right to get the right view. And I forgot to move the camera when I went live, so it was all futile to do that. And I thought, well, I need to delete this video because it's idiotic. But I kept it on just to remind me of times I'm pretty idiotic, do things. Now, there's a Cheyenne, which I don't remember that being a truck, but the front end alignment and the rear end alignment on that truck is so skewed that it's like that. Like to have something real heavy on the right side. I don't know. I'm in the right lane. I'm going fast. So, be it through the Supreme Court or Congress, I want suppressors to not be a controlled item under where you have to pay the tax stamp anymore. Now, gun advocates say, gun opponents, of course, say that, well, it'll suppress the round and we won't know where it comes from. They've clearly never shot a round or a bullet before out of anything if they're going to make that argument. Because when you still use a suppressor, folks, you can tell where it came from. It lowers the decibel, but it's not silent. That's why I will never try to say the word silencer, because it's not a silencer. If that were the case, they would ban bow and arrows, because those are pretty quiet too. Or knives, because knives don't make a noise when you jibber jabber. But yet, suppressed long guns or pistols still have a distinct sound, somewhat muffled, but very distinct when fired. What are your thoughts on this subject? Leave a comment below on my YouTube. What are your thoughts on the word silencer? Okay. Or am I just playing with words? It's like a BBW or a fat girl. Or a girl that's big boned. Okay, what's the difference? Well, or the difference is poor girl's got a thyroid condition. Oh, somebody got hit. Anyway. Not a good analogy. That's what came to my mind. Probably, you know what? People get too pissed off over things. And I sort of get tired of that. And I don't like to use vulgarities in my work or anything, but I'm allowed to think what I want. But to me, a silencer is a fictional thing, much like a girl that's shaped like a Barbie doll, okay? It's fiction. It's not real. I don't even know why they make those dolls like that. No woman, no child should try to emulate what Barbie looks like. And I mean, I'm glad that Barbie went out and they started not making just the blonde-haired girl, the tall girl, and they have different races of Barbie, different heights. So, every little girl can be like Barbie. But I don't think the Barbie dolls are realistic in the body, human body is shaped. And I got you that it's just a doll. I have one strict rule in my house, okay? Well, I have a lot of rules. I don't like naked Barbies around. It's disrespectful to the toy. I refuse. If I see it, it makes the little one put clothes on her. I think of Toy Story with all those toys and it's shit, Anyway. What's the meanest thing you've ever done to a Barbie doll, folks? And keep it clean, okay? I don't want anyone perverted. Leave a comment down below. Well, I've never done anything cruel to a Barbie doll, but one time, okay, Ken was convicted of a crime. Okay, he was sentenced to death. So what we had to do, and he was going to be sentenced to death by gunfire. So we took Ken, taped him up to the pan that I have, the one shooting pan, taped him up, and we practiced target shooting on Ken at the gun range in Kentucky. Going that's south of Louisville. You shoot any way you want. The name of the gun range escapes me. It's been a couple of years since I've been there. They also make a Kentucky bourbon with the same name. It's worth driving out there just for that. If you're from Kentucky and you watch my video, what's the name of that gun range? It's south of Louisville, going down, I think it's 31. Yeah, you just go down 31 and you get there. 31 goes into Louisville from Elizabethtown. I can't remember it. Something Creek. And really, it's not too far off from the Ohio River. So yeah, that's the meanest thing I've ever done to a doll. They faced, because he was a spy for the bad guys, so he had to be executed. That was the story I was going with. And the thing is, he never felt it. Another story with a doll. That Addams Family girl, whatever her name is, the little girl, the cute little dark-haired girl that's goth. I can't remember her name. Not the name of the actress, but the actual character. Anyway, I got my daughter the cheap Chinese version of her, and the whole thing was just warped completely. And so what I did is I surgically removed her head and I put her on a Barbie's doll Barbie. And the clothes still fit. So I did a head transplant. And everything worked out fine. She's still doing good. The thing is, she doesn't really look like her. Wednesday. The little girl's name is Wednesday from Addams Family. So I transplanted Wednesday's head to a Barbie doll's body that we weren't playing with anymore. And yeah, I play Barbie with my daughter, okay? And the other funny thing is, it just comes into my head. It's my next door neighbor kids. One of them looks like Wednesday's little baby brother. Real chubby. Probably acts like him. I don't know. I don't know the kid that much. I don't talk to him much. But he sure as hell looks like him. And I'm not going to make fun of a kid. But, he looks like what he looks like. Well, here's the problem, folks. They're neighbors. They have their yard fenced, and that's cool. And our yard's fenced. But he wanted to pet my Yorkie. And he put his hand through the fence. And she wasn't having none of that. She bit him. I mean, to her, putting your hand through her property meant, hey, this is not something you're supposed to do. So he doesn't put his hand through the fence anymore. So usually right now would be the time. I don't know, they'll probably be delayed because the weather has been a lot cooler. But usually starting to harvest my strawberries this year, but this year I'm not growing any. I did my first de-weeding yesterday after work. And the main weed that I'm getting is this something called lamb's quarters. It's a little weed and it has 4 distinct leaves on it. And I've seen these weeds enough to know which one's a weed and which one's the actual vegetating plant that I'm growing. And I got to do a lot of de-weeding early on, get rid of these things, and I compost them. I put them in my compost bin, I let them sit out, and they disintegrate, and they go back into the soil. I don't use any herbicides or pesticides or gasticides in my garden. One trick that I learned that's an alternative therapy for plants, now I want you to listen to this, okay, is one, you got to have one of those water sprayers, okay, like a 2-gallon water sprayer, kind you can put on your back like the Ghostbusters, don't cross the beams. And then for every 2 gallons, you get a gallon or 325 milligram of, guess what? Aspirin. And you spray the plants. And voila. It's an anti-inflammatory for the plants, and it helps make them feel better. But right now, what my plants are suffering from is just not enough sun. It's even cloudy today. I will tell you that the zucchini plants that are going to be ready to transplant in a couple of days, they're getting bigger and bigger. But I want them to be nice and the roots all set up and just ready to spread out. And all I got to do is dig a little hole and put them in there, and voila, they take off. And then around them, I'm going to plant carrots, some more carrots, once they have their space. For some reason, my carrots are slow in taking off, but once it starts getting sunnier and warmer, they'll do fine. The good news is some of my sweet potatoes are starting to plant. The leaves are starting to come up. I don't know what you call it when you plant a little stem of a sweet potato and then the plant starts to grow. Some of them took off and some of them didn't. That's okay. I plant just to see what I can grow, and I like to experiment every year with something different. And last year, the sweet potatoes really took off. I think every prepper should grow something. Even if you live in an apartment, grow something. Just so you know what works and what doesn't work. Granted, I use 1/3 of my backyard to grow my stuff. I could use a lot more space and grow more stuff. thought about putting a berm of soil along the fence and growing some strawberries around the berm, and then block that off with the chicken wire that I have. But it's too late in the season to do that now. I'm not going to do it now. And I'd have to apply more soil. I have to bring in the soil, obviously. And that soil, you just have to add to it, nutrients and stuff. Because every year the strawberries will come back if they're embedded in the soil. You don't need to mush it up. You just let it be. It's like a weed, an edible weed. One thing that I've been dealing with ever since I've had heart failure, and now that I'm losing weight, is I get dizziness because my blood pressure gets too low because it's too well treated. And well, that's a good thing, isn't it? Well, no, it's not. When it's too low, you're not getting enough blood flow to your kidneys. That's never a good thing. So I thought I was the lisinopril that I take. I thought I did it already, and I forgot. My wife reminded me. I'm cutting the dose in half, and I've already cleared this with the person that prescribes it, and I forgot that I did that. Because lately, my blood pressure has been running pretty low. Because when I stand up, since the blood pressure is too low, all the blood doesn't go to my brain like it needs to go to. That's why I get dizzy. Or when I bend over, which is another orthostatic, and I try to get up, it doesn't have enough pressure to pump it to the brain. And it feels like a buzz, sort of, but I don't really care for that buzz sensation anymore. I gave that up with the soju back in the day. It takes two to make a thing go right. Better not flaunt this if there's a cop around. They'll just pull your ass over and shoot you. Just so you know, there's no alcohol in this. It's basically Australian ginger ale, sugar-free, and it's delicious. Bundaberg ginger ale. I'm obsessed with ginger. Not the girl from Gilligan's Island, okay? The one that you flip. You want to know what's weird though? Gilligan's Island quit airing back in the 60s before I was even born. And they made one reunion show back in the 70s where they crash landed back to the island again. That show was on in the 60s. And the other show that I remember watching as a kid from the 60s, I think it was The Munsters. It was one of those monster human families, much like the Addams Family. But the guy, the daddy, it had to be from the 70s then, because he went on to act in other shows, a real tall character. He was the judge in that TV or that movie from 1990, My Cousin Vinny, if you remember that movie, with the little guy, not Danny DeVito, the little guy from the New Jersey. He was also a character in Four Seasons. But anyway, I'm horrible with names. I remember faces. But I enjoyed watching the Munsters, more so than the Addams Family. But the Munsters never had a revival like the Addams Family did. Because the Addams Family, they did a remake of the little girl TV show, I think. And they did a couple of remakes of the show, the movie. And of course they had the TV show, I think it's on Netflix or somewhere, about the little character, Wednesday. And her little friend, and it was a cute show. I never finished watching the whole thing. It really wasn't that interesting for me. But I would have liked to see Munsters make a comeback. Because basically they were the same genre, okay? You'd have to look them up, the Munsters. It was like the German spelling of Munsters. Oh, man. Well, it's 7:46. When I drive in Illinois, I always drive defensively because with this car here passing me on my right, I'm doing 50. It's a different mentality out here when it comes to driving. Like some of these people were like, they were just brainwashed to feel anger towards everyone. And it's reflected in the way they drive. I want to share something, an insight that I have, okay? When I have a patient that comes in and sees me for whatever reason, and then a family member comes in, and the first thing that they say to me is, "You look tired," which is just, one, it's insulting, and two, it's not a compliment to say to somebody. And three, you don't know how the hell I feel. And if it could be my policy, if the bitch says that with the husband or whatever, I should just say, well, I can't be your medical provider because I'm too tired. But I can't do that. I want to, because they usually end up firing me anyway when they say that. I don't know if it's a racial thing, because there's a lot of racial tension here between black and white, Northwest Indiana and Illinois. It's kept under the table, but it exists. And so sometimes anyone that can get away with saying something without being overt, both sides do it. I don't. And you won't tolerate that shit. And sometimes I'll have a Caucasian patient try to say something racial about other people. I said, I don't go down that road. I don't tolerate it either way. and I don't tolerate it in my heart. And I'm sad that if people really think that way in the year 2025 of our Lord. I can't control what other people think. I don't have to get involved with it. Yeah, I have my political ideologies, okay? None of them involve hatred. And if you think it's wrong to talk about differences between people, then maybe this channel isn't for you. I just don't like degrading people based on who they are. I could disagree with somebody, but my upbringing tells me just shaped who I am as a person and how I was as a soldier that influenced what I am today. When I lived in North Carolina as a kid, okay, coming from Germany, my dad was stationed in Germany. He got stationed back stateside to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I'm just sharing a story with you, okay? I got racialized from the whites. I got racialized from the blacks. Both of them said some pretty mean things. As one, I'm half Greek, right? So I have that dark skin. And I had very few friends at that time in the 80s in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I wasn't the most outgoing effort to begin with. I have a yearbook, and now you can look on yearbooks online, and I like to look up some of these people. And I don't say anything, but I just, the lot in their life, that the choices that they've made based on the things that they feel, and the decisions that people have made, and I compare it to the decisions that I've made. Now, let me just say, sometimes I don't have any sympathy for some people. What's even sadder is those people that thought that way back in the day. I've seen how they're still on social media, because hell, we're in our 50s, and everybody in their 50s is on Facebook, right? And that's all we know. They really haven't changed much. I guess I haven't changed much either. And it's not about, what you do for a living, how much money you make, who gives a shit. Well, what you do, or how you talk to people. So living in North Carolina as a kid, I had a handful of friends. I mean, two guys that I would say were my friends. And even then, they weren't the closest friends. And I had no one that would provide any emotional support, like a good buddy. And I learned from that I learned a lot from that. You don't really rely on others. And it hardened me. and it made me stronger. My older sister, on the other hand, she had good friends. The ladies, a couple of the guys. And there's some friends that were not as close, but whatever. And I realized how much she tried to help me to try to socialize. And I was so defensive that I wouldn't accept help. I was a little shithead brother. And sometimes I'm still a little shithead. And I think I recognize my faults. Who doesn't have faults, right? I don't believe if I could go back in time that I would change anything. Because I'm not one. It's good to remember who shitted on you, but it's not good to keep it inside and just focus that on your life. If I would say anything, try to make the best out of your life. Maybe there is alcohol in here. Shit. No, there isn't. Anyway, it's 7:56. I really don't want to go to work today, but I'm going to be here. Because here's what happens on Fridays, okay, in medical care. You always have someone that's being discharged from a rehab facility this Friday, no prior notification that they need something at home and that they need shit done at the last minute. I will say that I had a telephone appointment with a family, and the patient's being discharged in 2 weeks. And they had the common courtesy of scheduling an appointment in anticipation that the patient's going to be scheduled in 2 weeks. So I've already ordered everything that the patient would need. I talked with the patient, I talked with the wife, and they were both satisfied with what I said I was going to do and the needs of the patient, and it's all scheduled ahead of time. And that's how it should work out. I like it when patients' family are very proactive in the care. I want that mom or I want that wife to be in the room, honestly, if they really give a shit about their loved one or their husband or whatever their gender identification is. I don't really care. I want them in that room with the patient as a witness, what the patient says, what the family says, if there's an issue. Having more eyes than one is better. But I'm going to head on out. Have a good day. God bless everybody.